Dungeon Acid, doing another RPG a day video. Today's word is shade, and I'm going to be interpreting that by throwing shade at Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. If you don't like that and you want to dislike this video, there's a dog in this video, and so if you dislike the video, you're disliking my dog, okay? So don't do that. But, you're free. Indeed, we'll be throwing shade at D&D 5th edition in this video. I play D&D 5th edition when I can. I play my modded version of it that's, you know, bastardized all to hell to the way I like it, and makes it better in my opinion. And so I do have complaints about 5th edition, but I am no, you know, I'm in some ways a hypocrite because, of course, I do play it. It just is kind of what everyone... It's the easiest thing to find games for, and you can basically mod it, and people generally are fine with it, in my experience. So, throwing shade at 5th edition, things I don't like. So, number one, just how wordy 5th edition is. And what I mean by this is that nothing can be simple. Everything has to be explained in, like, multiple paragraphs that are hard to remember. In OSR games, and as I kind of understand it in old school D&D in general, let's say if you were a rogue, and you had a banana peel, and you wanted to throw that banana peel and trip, you know, an enemy who's running after you, you would just be like, hey, I'm eating a banana, I throw my banana peel behind me, trying to get him to trip, and the DM would be like, okay, that's a cool idea, well, I'll just roll a d20, and if I roll over his dex score, he slips, right? But in 5th edition, you can't, the rules, if you play it rules as written, they don't make that an easy option. They're like, okay, well, if you're going to throw a banana peel, you got to be a rogue of at least 5th level, and then what you get is a feature called Throw Banana Peel. And what that is that you can throw up to X banana peels per day, where X is your charisma modifier, minimum of 1, actually it's per short rest, okay? So you take a short rest, you get all your banana charges back. Yeah, that's right, you start out with X banana charges. And if you spend your 1 banana charge, roll a die, you know, so for each banana charge, the enemy must make a dex save with the DC equal to 8 plus your charisma modifier plus your proficiency bonus, and on a failed save takes half as much banana damage. That's 5th edition, you know, in a nutshell. And what sucks is that I feel that people getting into D&D for the first time. Now, I've experienced working in a game store for multiple years, and so I've introduced many people to D&D, and have had people come in and ask what D&D is, and it's awesome to get people into the hobby. It's one of the best feelings. But I do feel that there is a pitfall where someone will come into the hobby thinking that D&D is very complex. They have this idea of it as this crazy, complex, tons of rules game. And the 5th edition rules kind of confirm that. I know it is rules light compared to other editions. I apologize for the noise. But it really is still a lot of rules for someone coming in, and it's difficult for you to explain to someone who's new and maybe just saw Critical Role, that's the reason why they want to get in, to be like, well, you don't actually have to use those rules. An RPG is really what you make of it, and there are so many different RPGs and all these different versions, and the DM, you know, from the very beginning, it was up to the DM's discretion what rules to keep, what rules to use, what new rules they want to make up, right? But that kind of sentiment is lost, I feel, in the new ethos of Wizards of the Coast and 5th edition and Critical Role, and that, like, sphere of, like, how do I max my intelligence score to make the best subclass of Warlock or whatever. You can tell my voice, this is the impression I'm doing, is my make fun of D&D 5th edition voice. What's some other shade I can throw toward old D&D 5th edition's way? Spell slots are annoying. Spell slots are needlessly complicated, and I know they were grandfathered in from older editions, but it's like, if we change so much other stuff, why can't we change this? I don't use spell slots, I use spell points, the variant rule in the DMG, when I have to play 5th edition with people who aren't cool with free magic system, which free magic system is something I do with a curated group of people. of close friends and my significant other and people who I trust to play, because free Magic is my, version, and it's perhaps I'll talk about later in the RPG today, but basically it's describe it, you're a spellcaster, so describe what your spell does, and I'll tell you, 1, if you can do it, 2, what the DC is, and 3, if it's too big and you fail, and especially if you get a critical failure, there's going to be negative consequences, right? So that's what free Magic system is doing. But anyway, spell slots are just cumbersome and annoying, and they're one of the most difficult things to explain to a new player, and that is why people are like, oh, if you're a new player, you shouldn't play a spellcasting class. You should be like a fighter because it's simpler. And it's like, yes, that's true, but like, it doesn't need to be this complicated. 5th edition, it's very wordy. Spellcasting is like the wordiest part of 5th edition, right? All right, what else? What other shade I can throw? Characters at first level get too many things, in my opinion. They get too many proficiencies and gold and too many items and armors. I love starting campaigns in situations where there's a narrative reason for why the characters have basically nothing, because that way at low levels it's exciting for them to get chainmail. They're like, oh, the bandit we killed, that bandit captain has chainmail. Let's take it because I would like to wear that because I'm sitting here in prison rags, right? And so I like that. I think that's cool. I think it's strange that you can basically create a character that has the best mundane armor that they can get right out of the get-go, right? So there's no room for advancement in that regard, except for magic items. And that leads me to another thing I can throw shade at D&D 5th edition for, which is magic is everywhere. There's so much magic. The way you advance your character items-wise is through getting magic weapons. So it's basically, or magic items, is it's basically understood that's like, yeah, there's going to be magic items, a bunch of them, you guys are going to get them. Just about every class has a subtype that casts magic. If you want to play a low magic game, you were like, alright, well, you can play a fighter, a rogue, or a barbarian, but only certain subclasses. Really, I think even the barbarian has only like one non-magic subclass, or that doesn't have at least some magical elements to it. And it's just a bit nuts, the amount of magic, and it really takes away. I mean, it's the whole thing is like, if everyone's special, no one is. If everyone's magical, no one is. You know what I mean? So it's just part of the world. It's like, it's as special as having a phone, right? Like, it's like, oh, everyone has a phone. Everyone can do this. What are you talking about? Everyone can cast these basic cantrips. But villagers, I like it when villagers are like, oh my god, that guy just shot fire out of his hands. How do you do that? Are you sent from the heavens? Are you a curse? Are you a witch? That, brings in some narrative interest. And if you go to movies and TV, which is really the cornerstone of what I try to emulate with my D&D games, their magic is always special. Always. It's always special in movies and TV. And so I feel like that should be brought over in 5th edition. Alright, coming to the end here, what are some other 5th edition things I want to make fun of and throw shade at? Subclasses, archetypes. When I first saw that, I was like, oh, that's really cool, I like that. And it cuts down from all these crazy amount of classes you can have, where it's like, oh, there's the druid, and the warden, and the warlord, and the eldritch knight, and all these. It's like, hey, look, these are the classes, here are their subtypes. You get to pick a subtype. I liked that at first, but now it's like become this weird culture of like, oh, why are you playing a thief? Why are you playing a thief subclass? That's like the worst rogue subclass. You should be an arcane trickster, and then you can get mage hand. You can do this. It's like, dude, my character is a thief. He likes to steal things. He doesn't care about magic. He likes to steal magical things, maybe magic items, and be like, "Ooh, I have a shiny." But he's not like gonna, learn spells just because it's like more OP than like one other subclass. And I also feel like it becomes this like Pokemonization of the classes where people, I don't know, it's just as like, or I guess maybe World of Warcraft might be a better comparison, but they just talk about the different like specs and like the, you know, oh, did you see they released a new archetype, you know, or a new subclass for the fighter, and I'm like, I don't care. I still want to play a fighter who fights, you know, um, and I some of them are cool ideas, but I feel like I as a DM make them would do better to make them cool, and it's not by adding strange little features. It's just by like bringing that into the story. For instance, like a ranger who's a horizon walker. When I found out I had a player that was playing a horizon walker, I didn't just be like, okay, you're a horizon walker, so you get to add an extra die to some things. Sometimes I was like, okay, cool. Well, he's a planar traveler, so I'm gonna start, you know, this whole story arc where portals are opening like Oblivion, like you know, Elder Scrolls Oblivion style, and portals are opening, and from other planes of existence they're coming in. Like, give them fodder for their characters to play off of. And so that, you know, helps to buff out those rough edges caused by those archetypes. But I just sometimes get tired of all the different archetype talk, and I'm like, dude, just come up with a unique idea for your character. Like, I don't want to know what archetype your fighter is. I just want you to tell me a cool thing about them. Like, I would much rather have, you know, someone come up with a character idea that's like, well, I'm a fighter, but, you know, I'm tainted with like special demon blood or something, and every now and again my like demon instincts take over, and I'm very good at killing, but then like it's uncontrollable, and I'm like seized by rage or something. And I'd be like, all right, we can work with that, yeah. So I would just have him like be a normal fighter, but I'd be like, all right, well, any crit, any nat 20 you get, we're gonna put like 1 drop in this like bucket of your demon instincts, and then at certain points when it's narratively cool, I'll have him roll with those drops, you know, subtracting from the roll, and too low of a roll, you're going to go into, you know, a frenzy, or you're going to make a bad decision, or I get to make that decision for your character because their demon instincts take over, and, you know, it screws over the other players. I don't know. So, I hope this wasn't too rambly. I was just wanting to vent and rant about 5th edition, and yeah, well, but what can I say? I do still play it, so thanks. Catch you in the next one. Roll on.